They tell you not to open the door. They tell you this at orientation. They tell you this in the dining hall. The story is a campus legend, a piece of college folklore. It's about a room 613. They say a student lost their mind in there. They say a professor used it for strange experiments. They say a girl disappeared from behind its locked door one winter night. The stories change. The number stays the same. 613. It's a number that feels wrong in your mouth. A number with sharp edges. You walk down the hall of that old brick dorm and you count the doors. 609, 610, 611. You feel a little knot tighten in your stomach as you get closer. You see the number on the door, 613. It's just brass digits screwed to a slab of painted wood. Nothing special. But you walk a little faster. You don't look at it for too long. You can feel the story breathing on the back of your neck. I never asked for that room. Nobody does. It was a housing lottery screw-up, a clerical error, a slip of the administrative finger. That's what they told me. My name was on the list. My fate was sealed. I was assigned to room 613, my new home. I remember standing in the hallway with my boxes. The key felt cold in my hand, heavier than it should, be. I looked at the door. I thought about the stories, and then I did what any rational, educated 19-year-old would do. I laughed. I put the key in the lock. I turned it. I opened the door. My roommate was already there. Her name was Mara. She had bright red hair and a smile that took up half her face. She was from somewhere out west. She was just as unimpressed as I was.
Bit small, isn't it? But the view's not bad.
We spent the afternoon unpacking. We pushed the beds against the walls. We covered the ugly desks with posters of bands and movies. We made it our own. We filled the silence with chatter and bad jokes. That first week was a blur of new classes and new faces. We were busy. We were tired. The room was just a place to crash. The legend of 613 became a private joke between us.
Hear any strange noises last night? Only your snoring.
We were too smart for ghost stories. The room felt fine. It held the warmth of the late August sun. It echoed with our laughter. We played music. We had friends over. Nobody ever said it felt weird. Nobody shivered when they crossed the threshold. It was just another dorm room. The stories were just stories. We were sure of it. We were safe. We were wrong. The first thing happened on a Tuesday. It was the third night, or maybe the fourth. I was trying to read a thick, boring textbook for my history class. Mara was already asleep, a lump under her blankets. The dorm had gone quiet, the deep, humming silence of a building full of sleeping people. Then I heard it, a sound from the wall next to my bed, a soft, dry scratching. Tap, 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 like a long fingernail being dragged slowly across plaster. It was rhythmic, deliberate. It wasn't the sound of pipes. I put my book down. I listened. The room was silent again. I held my breath, waiting. Nothing. I told myself it was my imagination, a tired mind playing tricks.
Probably mice. This place is ancient. It was a good explanation, a rational one.
But the sound hadn't felt like a small animal. It had felt bigger. It had felt patient. It had felt like it was waiting for me to listen. 2 nights later, I woke up suddenly. The reason was the cold. It was a specific, localized cold. My side was frigid, a bubble that clung to my skin, and then the tapping started again. Tap, tap, tap. The next week, things escalated. The small, strange occurrences began to stack up, pebbles into a pond, ripples spreading. Mara found a note under her pillow, a small folded piece of paper, the kind torn from a spiral notebook. It had my name on it, just my name, written in a thin, spidery script. The ink was faded, brown, like old blood. Neither of us had written it. We didn't know anyone with that handwriting. We tried to laugh it off. We burned it in a metal trash can. The smoke smelled acrid, sweet, like burning plastic and old perfume. The mirror was the next thing. A cheap full-length mirror propped against the closet door. One night, while we were studying, we heard a low scraping noise, wood dragging on wood. The mirror was tilting forward, slowly, deliberately, as if an invisible hand pushed it from behind. It stopped at a strange angle. We stared at its reflection. The room. The two of us at our desks, faces pale in lamplight. Then, for a split second, the reflection flickered, like a bad television signal. Between our heads, another face appeared. It was there, and then it was gone. The face of a girl, pale, gaunt, dark, wet hair, eyes like dark holes. No expression, only a profound, terrible emptiness. We both saw it. We gasped. We spun around. The space behind us was empty. Just air. The room was still. Mara started crying, softly, then in gulps. She slept down the hall. I told her I'd be fine. We were just tired, stressed. I was lying, to her and to myself. I stayed up with the lights on, staring at the closet door, at the mirror. I kept seeing the face, the empty eyes. Yeah, I kept seeing it. I was alone in the room. The silence was heavier now. It had weight. Mara was gone, and her absence made the room feel vast and empty. I tried to study, but the words swam. Every creak of the building, every distant shout from the street, made me jump. Around midnight, the tapping started again. This time it wasn't from the wall. It was from the closet. A soft, hesitant knock. Knock, knock, knock. A pause. Then again. Knock, knock, knock. A signal. A question. My blood ran cold. I couldn't breathe. I thought of the face in the mirror. The closet half open. I had to know what was inside, or prove nothing was. I stood, walked to the closet. My hand trembled. I pulled the door open. My clothes and Mara's hung limp. A jumble of shoes, nothing else. The air smelled faintly of dust and river mud. I backed away, a shaky laugh escaping. See? Nothing. Just an old building. Just an overactive imagination. I turned around, and that's when I heard it. A voice. It spoke right behind my ear, a cold puff on my neck. Not a whisper, not a shout. A clear, flat female voice. It spoke my name, like it had practiced, knew the taste of every letter. The voice of the face in the mirror. I screamed and ran. I threw the door open, burst into the bright hallway. Behind me, room 613 slammed shut. The sound cracked like a gunshot. Not the wind, not a draft. Slammed with force, with anger. I stood panting. From inside, a low, tuneless humming. The sound of a girl singing softly to herself in the dark. The worst kind of not knowing. The RA came. Mara came. They found me huddled against the opposite wall, shaking. Kevin, the RA, used his master key. The lock was stuck. He had to put his shoulder into it. The door swung open with a long, agonized groan. The room was freezing. Window closed and locked. Light off. Everything looked normal. Bed made, closet closed. On the floor, a single woman's shoe. Old-fashioned, caked in mud. It smelled of damp earth. It wasn't mine. It wasn't Mara's. We moved out the next day. We didn't wait for approval. We threw clothes and books into boxes. We never spent another night in that room. The university reassigned us to a different dorm on the other side of campus. We told our parents there was a mold problem. Easier than the truth. We never spoke of the face, or the voice, or the shoe. We tried to forget, but some things don't want to be forgotten. Years have passed. I'm not 19 anymore. I have a job, a life. I live far from Ann Arbor, but sometimes on a quiet night, I feel it. A sudden, inexplicable chill. A feeling of being watched. The legend of room 613 is stronger now. They say the door slams on its own. They say you can hear a girl humming if you press your ear to the wall. It's just a story I tell myself. Distant humming, but I have a souvenir, a scar. A thin white line on the back of my left hand, shaped like a crooked letter. I don't remember getting it. No cut, no accident. It just appeared one morning. When the air gets cold, it aches. It feels warm, like a cold finger tracing it. It's small, barely noticeable. But it's there. A permanent reminder. The room left its mark on me. Yeah, it left its mark.